On today's show, we're reacting to CBS Sports' first round mock draft. Came out pretty recently. We're going to go over who they have the Ravens picking, whether I think that's a great pick, and take a little bit of a deeper dive into that first round selection. Before we get into that selection or anything else, I just want to give you a reminder, this is what the day 1 and 2 picks are looking like for Baltimore. And I know I'm not dramatic when I'm saying this, but these are picks that they have to hit on. Okay, 27th overall in round 1, 59th overall in round 2. You get a round 3, round 4, round 5 pick, right? Every single one of those are must hits for Baltimore. So excited for that draft to be here come late April. And if you want more draft videos on today's channel, then just do me one simple favor. Subscribe to the Ravens Rundown. All you got to do is hit that sub button. I'll be bringing you guys draft content, trade rumors, NFL offseason coverage, everything and more right here on the channel. So if you haven't joined us already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. So before we get into it, let's take another little look at what I think the biggest needs for this team going into the offseason, ultimately going into the draft are. Number 1, edge rusher, okay? I think that is the most important thing for this football team going into 2025 is to pair that defense with a dominant edge rusher. Then I think cornerback, right? And that's why first 2 rounds, I want them to go edge rusher, and then I want them to go cornerback. It's very, very simple. Number 3, I'd say offensive line. 4th, I'd say wide receivers. Those can be interchangeable for me. However, if Ronnie Stanley does exit in NFL free agency, then offensive line might even go up to number 2. So let's get into Wilson's projection with CBS Sports. The first round of the draft, he has the Baltimore Ravens selecting Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. And here's what he had to say about the stud out of the Green Thundering Herd. Green, who weighed 251 pounds at the Senior Bowl, is incredibly explosive off the snap, plays with surprising power, and consistently uses his hands well to get off blocks. He had one-on-one rep of the week down in Mobile, and his tape backs it up. Before I get into it, just give me your reaction right off the rip. Baltimore picks Mike Green. Grade it for me, okay? Give me an A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. Take out your red pens and grade the pick. A little bit more on Mike Green. His numbers in 2024 were, in a word, phenomenal. 81 tackles on the season, 23 tackles for loss, 17 sacks, almost 60 pressures, and also 3 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery to add on to that. But what I love most about him is he's a guy that improved every single year. Obviously, in 2022, he did not play. But if you look at the difference from 2023 to 2024 and how much improvement he had in tackles for loss, sacks, pressures, and forced fumbles, he doubled or tripled almost every single one of those numbers. And you know what that tells me about a guy? That tells me that he is going in the right direction. I think we see a lot of guys have monster junior years, like a James Pierce Jr., and then take a little bit of a step back their senior year. Sure, some of that can be akin to they're getting double teamed every play. But also, I think it's great to select a guy in the first round who's on an upward trajectory. A little bit more about Green. He's 6'4", 248 pounds. He weighed in at Mobile at 251. His PFF grade was a 92.5, the second highest out of 869 edge rushers in college football this past year. And you know what? At the end of the day, he's an athletic freak, and he's got a ton of potential to be that number 1 edge rusher. Let's talk about my scouting report for him. He's got some pros. He's got some cons. He's got an explosive get-off. He's got great bend, and he's got multiple pass rush moves, right? He can hit you with a spin, a rip, a swim, anything, right? He's got that in his bag. He's got heavy hands, strong hands, and he also can be an asset on special teams. Some cons, though, because he's not a perfect prospect. He does struggle in run defense from time to time. His functional strength could use a little bit of work. And also, there's been times where he hasn't shown the greatest ability to tackle in space. But still, through all of that, all of the cons, it's easy that he's a round 1 grade. And in my opinion, picking him at number 27 would be an absolute slam dunk. Okay, I think that this guy has the ability to be a premier pass rusher in this league. And I think this guy, Mike Green, has an ability to fill in a massive hole that Baltimore had this past season, okay? Because they were good statistically at getting sacks and sack percentage and things of those numbers. But when you looked at what they did on an every down basis when it came to pressuring the quarterback, it wasn't anything special, okay? So Mike Green, you get him at 27. He comes in here, and I believe in year one, he can make a massive difference to this defense. Coming up, I got more to talk about on Mike Green, a little bit deeper into him, deeper into this defense as well. Before I get into any of that, if you want to possibly see him, if he comes to Baltimore, then you should use our friends over at Gametime to do so. It's the only place I go when I'm trying to buy tickets to any sporting event, theater, comedy show, anything you can find right there. And you know what, guys? It is time for the big game, and I can promise you there's nothing that could quite compare to the rush and excitement you feel watching your team win that big game either at home or on the road. And if you want to have that memory for the rest of your life, that is where Gametime can help out. Gametime has an awesome new feature. It's called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so that way you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, Gametime Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. And guys, I know that the season is done in Baltimore, but there's still so many places you can go to in Baltimore and use Gametime to do so, right? If you want to go to the United We Dance, the EDM dancing, show, festival, you can go there at Gametime, get floor seats for only $30. Gametime's the best place to go for anything you need ticketing wise. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It is game time. All right, now let's talk about the play that broke the internet. This was the one-on-one rep in the Senior Bowl last week in Mobile, Alabama, and just an absolute bull rush. Sends the tackle to the turf, and this isn't just any tackle out of, San Diego State. This isn't just a guy out of Sam Houston State. That's Josh Connerly. He's a projected first-round pick. He's the number 3 tackle on Mel Kiper's big board going into the 2025 NFL Draft. And in one rep, Mike Green absolutely embarrassed him. Bull rush right up to him, shoved him over, and a guy who's 280 pounds hit the turf as if he weighed 70. Okay? And the thing I love about Mike Green is it's not just the power with this guy either. I think that's what separates good edge rushers from great edge rushers. Because there's guys that can get to the quarterback with power. There's guys that can get to the quarterback with speed and with bend. But it's very rare to see those traits for one guy to have both of those traits. And I believe Mike Green does. Just look at that bend right there. He's circled in red on your screen. He's got his hand on the turf. He's laying almost, it looks like 180 degrees vertical with the ground. And he doesn't fall either. He stays up. This guy's athleticism is off the charts. And then you mix that with his power, with his size, and I think he could be something special. Because when you look at this team and this front five, it's a lot of great players. It's a lot of good players, but I just don't know if anybody in that picture right there, on that depth chart right there, is a guy that I'd say I'm confident he's a top 10 rusher in the National Football League, okay? And if you take a deeper look into it, sure, they had great numbers. They had great sacks. Kyle Van Noy, 12.5 sacks. Dafe Owe, he got to 10. Nandi Madubuike had a little bit of a step back, but he also was getting double teamed pretty much for the entirety of the year. But those guys are great. But again, like we talked about it earlier, it feels like when they're not getting sacks, they're just not really doing anything. There was a lack of pressure on every down this year that I've noticed, and I think you guys notice it as well. And if you get a guy like Mike Green in here, I believe he can make that difference. because they didn't show up when they needed to most. In the game against Buffalo in the divisional round of the playoffs, they had 1 sack, not a single quarterback hit, only 6 quarterback pressures, and a quarterback pressure rate of 26.1. That means 1 in every 4 Josh Allen dropbacks, he basically was saying, you know what? Pat, boom, deliver a throw. He had all the time in the world, okay? And to put a little bow on this Mike Green discussion, ladies and gentlemen, I would love the pick. I would love it. I would be thrilled, okay? You would have me on that exact night making this exact same video talking about how excited I am for this guy's future. Because I believe his ceiling is sky high, okay? I think Abdul Carter, he's going to go top 5. I think he's going to be a great edge rusher. Hot take, I think Mike Green has a higher ceiling. I think Abdul Carter has a much higher floor, but I think Mike Green could be the best rusher in this class and one day be a top 5 edge rusher in the league, okay? If you don't get Mike Green, if he goes earlier than your pick at 27, there's a couple of guys I think could float back to that range. Mykel Williams would be my number 1. I don't know how realistic that is. I kind of expect him to go anywhere in the 17 to 20 range, but he'd be phenomenal. I'm going to talk a little bit about James Petersen Jr. This isn't the first time I've talked about him, but he's a guy I could see easily falling back to you at number 27. And if that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your purse and go get that guy as quickly as you can, okay? So if it's not Mike Green, either of these 2 names would work for me. But if all 3 of them are available right there, I think Mike Green might be my pick. Shout him out for me in the comments section. Name a player you want the Ravens to draft, okay? It can be Green. Heck, it could be Ashton Genty. It could be anybody you want. Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This has been the Ravens Rundown. Really do appreciate the continued support through the entirety of this offseason. Love getting to cover this team for you guys every day. And to make sure that keeps going on, make sure you hit that sub button.